Hey YouTube, welcome to part 2 of my 2025 small scale group build. Last year, when I kind of went crazy on motorcycles, I went out and bought this entire set of Suni 1 to 24 motorcycle kits. They have 8 of them: a Yamaha, a Honda, Kawasaki, Suzuki, Harley, BSA, BMW, and a Norton. And the first one I built was number 1, this Yamaha 750. Learned a few things about these kits when I was building this one. So this year, as part of the small scale group build, I think I'm just going to work my way through these, and I'm actually going to do number 2, which is the Honda CB750. These kits are pretty cool. They give you the instructions on the inside of the box. And then basically it's 3 sprues. There's no clear parts. They just basically mold everything in these 3 sprues. So it's more a matter of painting and chroming actually to get this to come out, you know, fairly realistic. The other thing I learned from this, if you recall, is these decals were horrible. They're very old, and I had a hard time getting them to come up off the backing paper. I've watched a couple of videos on, you know, trying to get these to come up, and basically, I guess the technique most people talk about is scraping the back so the water penetrates that backing paper and then hopefully floats up. So I'm going to try that this time. I'll probably also pop these in the window to try to get a little bit of that yellow out of there. As you can see here, you know, basically everything's, you know, split down the middle. Ends up giving you seams, both on the gas tank and on the front fender, and the rear fender here is very prominent and sticks out like a sore thumb on here. Now, fortunately, they tend to do the seats in a single piece, so you don't get that seam there, but you do end up with it there. So it's basically 3 screws. You've got the body, which is, as I said, the gas tank, the frame, that back fender, and then the shock absorbers. You've got a black sprue. Now again, this is plastic, not rubber, so these tires are plastic. And then they give you the seat here, and then they have this interesting way of doing the kickstand, which includes the foot pegs. So as you can see on this one, this kickstand is also the foot pegs, and it kind of just folds back under there, which, you know, I think is kind of clever. This 3rd sprue, you have the handlebars with the dials there. You have the engine with the tailpipes, turn indicators here, the rear light and attachment for the license plate. And then again, as I said, there's no clear parts, so then the front headlight is actually molded in plastic. You'll see here it has this metal bracket, so to speak, on the bottom of the seat. And what I did last time was used my silver stripe decal. Again, I think that came out pretty well. I'll probably use that technique again. Fairly simple, straightforward kit, low part count, but the challenge is definitely going to be in the painting and the getting rid of the seams. And you can see here there's a lot of flash, and it looks like these are a little bit distorted. I'll have to do some work on those to fix that. That's, you know, what the kit looks like and some of the challenges I'll have with this kit. All right, I've got everything cleaned up here, so now I'm going to lay down the primers and prime this with the Alclad base for all the chrome parts. And then what I'm probably going to do is bring this engine together, then put the 2 sides of the body on there and get that inside. Ooh, oh, wait a minute. So that has to go on there first. Shoot, I can't do it that. I'm glad I did this, because I can't do that. I can't build that engine first, and then because this has to go in from this side. Shoot. See, I have to think this through, because the main thing I want to get is this seam here. that seam isn't really going to be that noticeable once these are on there. Yeah, see, this is going to take some thinking through as to how I get this and get that seam right up. I got to make a list and kind of write out the steps I need to go in to make sure this comes out okay. But anyway, everything's cleaned up pretty nice. Now it's just a matter of noodling out what order I need to prime, paint, seam fix, repaint. I was reviewing references and noticed that there's actually a cap on this. I think that's the oil reservoir or something. I'm not exactly sure. So what I did is, just sliced a piece off of this sprue, filed it down, and just touched that with some ultra thin, put that on there. The other thing is I have these decals left over from the Monkey, and on here I have this Honda, and I think that's going to fit nicely on the back of the seat there. And then I also have, if those decals, which are upstairs in the window right now, if they don't work out, then I'll slice the wings off those Hondas, and I think that'll fit fairly decent up there on the tank. This will kind of be my last resort there. And then again, for those dials up front there, I've got, this decal set for some of the dials, and I actually think, a couple of those will fit nicely on there. So first I primed with the Mr. Surfacer 1500, then came back with the Alclad base, let that dry overnight, and then came back with the Alclad chrome. So now I'll let all that dry, then come back with the Alclad clear coat to seal it down. Okay, so here's those parts unmasked after the Alclad, and here's my list of kind of the order to do things in. So now I'll construct those wheels and put those inside the front fork there, and then work on that seam on that front fork. I will put the engine inside the frame there, mask and spray those, and then work on that seam on the gas tank. Also have the turn indicators and stuff over here, so I'll put the amber on those turn indicators and the red on the back, and then that headlight, I have to work that into that front fork as well. And then with the gas tank done, I focused on the seam on the back fender, and then Alcladded both the front fender and that rear fender. And then while that was drying, I did the decals on the seat, both the trim on the bottom and the Honda, and then I put those dials on the handlebars. So I scratched up the back of these decals to hopefully get the water to penetrate in there, and if this trick works, I'll use it. If not, I'll go to these. So we'll see what happens. They are coming up, but they're flaking, so they are not going to work. So when I get to the next one, I think I will try to cover these with the liquid decal film to keep them from flaking, and then scrape the bottom. But yeah, they're coming up, but they're flaking. All right, so I'll go with those over there, and that'll have to be good enough. I did a little playing around with these spares. I took those Hondas from below the wings and put those on the side. And then I took this Honda from above the Gorilla over here, as well as one of those wings, and then put that on the rear license plate. I think that'll look okay once that all dries down. It's better than nothing, I guess. And then based on my references, there's a stripe of silver that goes along the bottom of the tank there. So I've got a couple of more silver stripe decals I'm going to pop on there, and then that should do it.
Get your motor running, head out on the highway, looking for adventure, and whatever comes our way. Yeah, darling, go make it happen. Take the world in a love embrace. Fire all of your guns at once and explode into space.
All right, right, there it is on the shelf in the Honda section. And thank goodness I built that monkey first, because I think those decals really came in handy. I'm actually really pleased with the way those came out. They look nicer than the originals, I think. So yeah, these Suni kits are pretty cool. For 1 to 24, they make a really accurate, nice little kit, fun to build, lots of detail. And I think I learned a little bit more on this. I'm really happy with the way those seams came out on this one. But I learned how to deal with those decals. So next time when I get to the rest of these kits, I'll hopefully know how to deal with those, and they'll come out a little better. But like I said, I'm really happy with the way these look on there. So once again, thanks to Shawn and Dan for hosting the small scale group build this year. I think this is probably my last entry into that group build, but definitely not my last motorcycle this year. So anyway, as always, hope you found that interesting, and thanks for watching, and happy modeling.